Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fortress of Comic News, episode 276. I am one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host, Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey, we're going to call it episode 276. Chris isn't feeling too well, if you can hear it. I think he sounds a lot worse than he feels, so, we're not breaking any work violations having him do the podcast today. We screened him ahead of time to make sure he felt okay to do it. So,
no, yeah, we'll talk about Terrificon a little bit later, but I went to that, and like partway through Saturday, I just started to feel kind of like tired and exhausted.
mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll just leave. I'd done the rounds with all the indie people, all the comic creators.
Yeah.
So I'll just go back, and then just blew up on me after that. So, But today I feel fine. Yeah, it's just like a little bit in my throat. I'm sure you can hear that I don't sound that great, but I feel fine. Yeah.
Yep. Honestly, it's like, so, I mean, we could talk about it. You went to Terrificon last week, or I guess this weekend, but that was like your first big event since COVID, right? I think like a lot of people
pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yeah.
Remember, we had that year where I had to work 2 jobs to keep the house in order. So
yes, yeah. So right. Oh, that's true. You did that before COVID. So yeah, it's been a while for you, huh?
So it's been a long time, but it was nice. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad I went, even if I got sick from it. But it was good to like leave and go to the Mohegan Sun again. I think I texted you all this, but like they built a new conference room. So like the room, if anyone's been to a con there, like pre-COVID, they had the room where we went to Comic-Con with 2 N's. You remember that one?
Yep.
That's now their panel room.
Oh,
and like the conference room makes that look tiny.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Like they could fit I don't know. They could use that for the Air Force if they wanted to. Like you could fit some airplanes in there. It was huge. It was awesome though.
And as far as like density of like going to New York Comic-Con where it's shoulder to shoulder everywhere you go, did it still feel kind of open and free to move around and like?
Yeah, nowhere near as bad as New York Comic-Con from my experience. The worst part's the lines for the celebrities. The only one I got stuck in was Conroy's, but it was just they were pushing people together, and I haven't been that close to another human being in a long time, so it was kind of weird. But we got through that. So I'll start. Drove in on Thursday, and went to. Well, first I went to the Pez Museum or the Pez Visitor Center, whatever they want to call it.
That was pretty awesome. I saw the pictures from that.
Yeah, I did that. That was kind of cool. It was fun. It was a good hour or so that it took. Bought some stuff for my friends' kids, and then went to Clockwork Comics there in town. Nice little comic shop. Really enjoyed it. Every comic shop I go to, I buy something. So I think I bought Stephanie Phillips's Nuclear Family trade there because I didn't read it.
Yep.
And then later that night, so I got to my hotel, checked in, all that. And I was like, I need to go get dinner. So I drove out in the town I was in. Town I was in was called New London, which is right on the ocean in Connecticut.
Yep.
And went to Sarge's Comics, and this place was awesome. Huge selection, big room, nice gaming area, all this stuff. Really liked that shop. And they had stuff that's way out of print. They're one of these shops that obviously overorder stuff just so they have it.
Right.
Both those shops are really cool though. Both the owners are really nice. Both had good selections, good back stock, all that.
Nice.
Then Friday night, con started. Get there, walk around. So first of all, the indie community in Connecticut has been served this weekend. This is how many books I bought, Mike.
Nice. That's like a whole. And for people that can only listen, that's about a quarter of a short box. I'd say there's probably 40 comics there. 40. 50
yeah. So we got the Great Cyclopean, which seems like a really cool all ages book. The one that you're jealous about. So Kevin Delgado, former guest of the show, friend of the show, was there. So I picked up his variant for Nottingham, and it's shiny.
Which I actually hit him up on Twitter, and he shipped it to me. It got to me before he got to the con.
Oh, really?
So I was lucky. Yeah, I hit him up on Twitter. I was like, "Dude, will you ship me one? I'll Venmo you," because he's a fan of the show. He's a friend of ours. He hit me up, and he actually got it shipped to me before Terrificon started.
They're good people. And then the guys from Black Caravan were there, and specifically Steve Mardeau was there. And I don't know if you remember Steve Mardeau.
I do, yeah.
Artist for this little book here.
Yeah.
So he signed the Ashcan version for me. Talked to him for a while. Had a good time chatting with him. Really like that dude. Yep. And then the co-publisher was there too, and he has a new book coming out. I just pulled this out of a freaking pile, so excuse me. 7 Years of Darkness, which is going to be coming out later this year, but he had advanced copies of it, so I picked that up.
Yep.
Good dudes there. I'm not going to remember everybody's name, so I apologize, but everybody's business cards. I'm sure we're going to talk to a bunch of these people in the future.
Yeah, we'll get them on the show.
Book that you might like. I haven't read any of these, but I flipped through a few of them while I was there. Called Tragedy, which is like kung fu, Japanese culture kind of thing.
Hell yeah, let's go.
And then this one really piqued my interest. I remember walking up to this guy and being like, you need to tell me what this book's all about. Because it's titled The Saga of Evil Monkey Man.
Oh, yes. And that's the cover with Supergirl dead, pretty much, but with a monkey.
Yeah. So that 5 issues right there. Really cool. Nice. This one I'm really stoked for, called The Digital Pools. And these guys were like really interested in coming on the show and talking because of what they're doing. But this is like a cyberpunk noir book.
Okay.
But they're like, they have a Discord community with their fans, and their fans can like pitch story arcs and everything. So they're doing some cool, unique stuff. I can't wait to read that. So we had 2 people there that were like old guests of the show who now I'm going to get back because they're back on my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Javon Stokes was there. So I picked up Strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Haven't had him out in a while.
Chatted with him for a bit. Had a fun time. Caught up. Asked some questions about an old mutual friend of ours who has disappeared from the comic scene.
Okay.
And all that. And then another one who has a Kickstarter coming up soon, so he will definitely be on soon. But Keith Gleason of Mighty Mascots fame. So I bought the Mighty Mascots cereal box.
Nice.
With the free cutout mask as well.
That's amazing. I know you're a huge fan of that series. So
I really like that series. I got there, I was talking to him, we were, BSing, having a good time, and I was like, I feel bad, like I already, you come and talk to these guys, you want to buy something off of them, show them some. I was like, dude, I already have all the books, and he's like, well, you have the cereal box? I'm like, I don't have the cereal box. He goes, well, there you go.
Yep.
And then awesome. Yeah. Oh yeah, so the big thing of the weekend, Saturday morning, went over to Conroy's line. We get there and we're waiting for him to show up, and he literally comes out from the back and just like looks at all of us and does in the Batman voice, like, I am vengeance, I am the night. And like the whole crowd just like freaking out. So I got my Conroy moment, amazing. My signed picture, all that stuff.
That's amazing.
Claus Jensen was there. And so I wanted to just go over and like say hey to him.
Yeah.
Obviously we're both big Dark Knight Returns fans.
Yeah, right.
But he also had this amazing print that he signed for me that I had to get, that he did.
Ooh, wow, I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and the emblems are shiny.
Yeah, it's got shiny emblems on Carrie Kelly, Superman, and Batman. That's pretty sick. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's so fucking nice. So I got that.
Yeah.
And then just random thing I found. You know those guys every con that just have random ass posters?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is a really cool Clerks poster.
Oh, I do like that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and it was one of those guys. It's like, I have posters. Buy 3 for $20. I was like, how much for just one? He goes, well, they're 3 for $20. I'm like, how much for just one, dude?
I just want one.
I just want just one. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna look through the rest of these things for.
Yeah, I don't want to spend all my time here.
You're lucky I noticed this one.
I'm going to take a quick pause right here and say that we do have an interview today. Everybody, Charlie Stickney will be on the show, returning to the show today. Co-publisher at Scout Comics, and also writer of many books, White Ash, Clarion, The Game. So he's gonna join us in a little bit, but I felt the need to just jump in there and say that. Yeah, I'm super jealous you got to meet Conroy. That's one of the things I would love to do. The fact that he did even just talking to him, was it like you were talking to Batman?
No, he puts down the voice when you're talking to him, and you get only a few minutes with him. It was, he asked you your name and everything, and it just, said, I've been a big fan, watched the cartoons with my dad, and, they helped me fall, blah, 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 all the stuff you people have heard before. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. And then he's like, do you want to take a picture? So we took a picture together, and then I went on, and the thousands of other people in line got their turn.
Yeah.
The part I felt bad for was like the whole Justice League was there. So like Tim Daly, Superman was there. I forget the woman who played Wonder Woman was there.
Oh,
and so on. And like their lines were nothing compared to his.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was like Kevin and like everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but met a bunch of great creators there. Talked to a few publishers there. Aftershock was there. Got to talk to a guy there about some stuff, and just had a great time. Got to spend some quality time with Delgado. Grabbed dinner with him and some other comic creators the first night. It was a good time. I look forward to next year. Hopefully next year you're able to come. There isn't a conflict again.
Yeah.
But it was a good time.
Year. Awesome. Yeah, I know that's one thing I'm missing is cons. I haven't been to one in a while. I have been to like trade shows for my job, which they look like Comic Cons, but they're not. I mean, I'm there talking with people about work, so it's I usually take all the things I've learned about Comic Cons, like comfy shoes, pack a snack, all those different things, and just brought them into my work life. I just haven't been to a Comic Con in a while. But that's cool. I'm glad you got to go and chat with some people. Was Donnie Cates at this one or no?
No, he wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was going to send it to you, but since I know neither of us can make it, I didn't even want to tease you. But I was looking at Boston Fan Expo, and I was like,
is that where he is?
Donnie's there, Stegman's there, Frank Miller's there. Like, everybody we love in this world is at that one.
Yeah, I did see that.
Don't get me wrong. A lot of people we love are at Terrificon, too.
Yeah.
But
well, Fan Expo never used to be... Fan Expo never used to be so many comic people. It used to only be, like, TV show and movie people that you just go and take pictures with. And then I think it's grown into, like, oh, let's get comic book people here now.
So they started throwing money around.
Yeah.
Because, like, Frank Miller's exclusive to Fan Expo right now.
Wow, okay.
They gave him, like, a lot of fucking money, and was just like, all right, you go to every Fan Expo, and that's the only thing you go to. And he's like, okay.
Of course. Yeah, that's crazy how they're doing that, though. And I mean, it's easier for them because Boston is a major hub airport, so everybody just flies in from LA and then goes home directly after. So I get that.
Yeah.
I can sympathize with that, being next to a shitty small airport and having to jump around to get to anywhere. So. And
I also got to have a lobster roll while I was out there too. That was a good time.
Nice. Yeah, that's a really nice area. There's some really nice parts of Connecticut. New Loudon is really good, where the Connecticut Sound, like going out into the ocean. It's a beautiful area. But I'll have to be back there. Mohegan Sun's a fun place to be too. And just chatting with everybody, and
there's just a lot of people that we know personally that are in that area, and where I had the lobster roll too, it was this. I wish I remember the name of the restaurant because it was really good food. Mm-hmm. It was literally went downtown, and it was on on the side of the ocean, on like a harbor. So
Wow.
like the actual restaurant went on to a pier, and you sat on the pier and had like dinner or whatever. It was really cool atmosphere.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just read a lot of comics this week. That's pretty much it. So
I read nothing.
Talk about. Okay, then I'll do all the talking.
I read like 2 comics, I think.
Just before we talk about movie stuff, TV show stuff. Paper Girls came out on Friday, and where I was, my girlfriend's hometown, I don't have reception there, so I was trying to text you back all weekend, and I could not text you back until I got to Wi-Fi, and then I had to like Facebook message you because I felt bad. You were texting me like, "Oh, I'm getting tired at the con," and you were like updating me, and I was like trying to respond. I was pissed because Chris doesn't have an iPhone. Everybody, so that's it's not a me problem. It's a Chris hasn't assimilated yet.
I mean, I'm sorry you're of a weaker class than the rest of us, but go ahead.
No, I honestly hate iPhones, so I'm with you there. But yeah, so I was like celebrating her birthday, and at the same time this weekend there was a 200-year anniversary of the hometown, really small town, so there was a lot of like festivals going on and stuff like that. So it was pretty important for her to be there and see all these people that she grew up with, and like it was an interesting parade because the families that like founded the town, like they're like 7th and 8th generations, like still in the town, and like had a presence like in the parade and stuff. It was pretty cool to see like this, and obviously there's a lot of people that come up from New York City and live there and are like pumping money into the town, so a lot of different things are happening there. But yeah, it was a different experience for sure. And then they do this thing because I'm a big baseball fan, but there's this league now, and you can look it up, where they play baseball, and they dress in these old uniforms and they play with the rules from 1864. So there's these guys just like in like suspenders and like no baseball gloves or like pads or any type of like protection, like catching the ball. I mean, so it's slow pitch, and then they switched and played like the 1894 rules, which is fast pitch. So like only the catcher gets a glove. But still, like these dudes are like catching the ball, pop flies with no gloves and stuff. So that was a fun time. Yeah, it was a really good time. But anyways, moral of that story is Paper Girls came out on Friday.
Well, is that why you were posting random pictures of people like not pictures, but videos on Snapchat of people like going down hills in these random vehicles? Is that what was going on there?
Oh, that was the first night was a boxcar race. I've never been to a boxcar race, Chris.
Neither have
soapbox. I'm sorry, not boxcar. Soapbox derby. Soapbox derby. Let's get it right. I've only ever seen it in the movies. I didn't know it was still a thing. And my girlfriend's uncle built a couple of the soapboxes. And people do like mini trucks. Like he built a mini fire engine, and you just go down this hill, and you hope that you don't crash. So that was fun to like. I've never seen one before, so that was fun just to say I saw one. And then the next day was the huge celebration with like the baseball game and stuff like that. Yeah, so I could see where you'd be a little confused about like me sending you videos of people going down a hill. The first one was like an Oscar Mayer wiener dog vehicle, which is pretty great.
Yeah, that's like, so that's what popped on my phone that night.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting in this nice restaurant,
right,
with Kevin and his friend and this other artist from Binghamton, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having this nice meal and everything. Like, Kevin's in like a suit jacket and everything, as I'm dressed like a fucking slob.
Yeah.
And I pull out my phone because it rings. I'm like, what the hell is Mike sending me? And I click it, and all I hear is, it's an Oscar Mayer wiener. And then this thing comes down.
It was wild.
It seemed like a good time.
No, it's not as exciting as it looks, I promise you. But yeah, so anyways, with that, I had some downtime to watch a few episodes of Paper Girls. So Paper Girls season 1 hit Amazon Prime. The first 3 episodes I think are really good. Honestly, as far as connection to the comics, the 4 main girls are really, I think, spot on from the comics. The 4 main characters. Within the first episode, you're dealing with time travel, so they don't stay in the 80s too long. You kind of go to 2019 right away. And I don't know if it's 6 or 8 episodes. it's really good so far. I mean, there's some action, there's some a lot of the things in like the future. So like they kind of get rid of the whole, like the past affects the future, so don't change anything in the past. They kind of just do away with that. One of the people that's like part of the rebellion for changing time is basically like, well, you're not going to be around to see the changes, so like what's the whole point? Like what does it matter? um which is pretty like which is kind of great. It's like, yeah, why should the watchers and the readers care either way? Like, yeah, it's not going to be a significant part of the story, so we think, so like who cares? But I will say episode 3 wraps up, and if anybody's read the comic, this is one of the iconic moments, but there's a giant like robot slash Gundam that shows up, and like there's this huge battle in the town, and that's kind of how the third episode wraps up. With he's like, okay, I think we have a way out of this. Brings him into the secret lair, opens up like this garage, and then we just get a shot like going up like 200 feet of this giant robot. So yeah, I mean, they're doing a lot of cool things from the comic. I think the characters are great, and I'm going to finish out the season. I was pretty happy with it, and I mean, when you first start, you're going to be like, okay, 80s, Stranger Things, but it really, after the first episode, it completely gets away from any relation to Stranger Things for sure. So really good stuff. And then we got a little bit of movie news. So I don't see it on here. I don't know if it's a true thing yet, but from what I've seen on the internet last weekend, or this weekend, is WB is parting ways with Ezra Miller after the first Flash movie. I don't know if you saw that.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, I think it's a sure thing now. But either way, like, so this was another interesting thing. Jason Momoa on his Instagram posted a picture with Ben Affleck, and it wasn't just like Ben Affleck. That was like Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck, like with a suit on, he had like a Rolex, and you're like, you've seen pictures from the paparazzi of Ben Affleck. Like he doesn't roll around like that. Usually he's got like a V-neck on, he's carrying Dunkin' Donuts or some shit like that. So, and I mean, they're on the set of Aquaman 2, so obviously shooting some stuff as Bruce Wayne, Batman for Aquaman 2. We know he was set to reprise his role in the Flash movie alongside Michael Keaton, but now he's an Aquaman. And what I think where this comes about is, if you remember, they swapped the release dates. Like Aquaman and Flash got swapped around, I think. So I'm almost wondering if they had to refilm a after credits scene with, like, they probably had it with Michael Keaton Batman, and because one movie is before the other now, they had to swap it and have Ben Affleck come in, because I don't think they can introduce Michael Keaton until the Flash movie happens. Like, I think that's when they make the swap or something like that. So either way, WB is in shambles. Like, I think don't know
it just shows to me like what a clusterfuck it is over at WB.
Yeah.
Even if that's the case, I say just get rid of the after credit scene or come with a new one. Like,
yeah, just don't even. Why do you even need to have it? Just have an Aquaman movie and don't have Ben Affleck in it at all.
Because this has done a couple of things that really frustrate me. A, it's brought the Snyder fanboys back out, and it's like, guys, the Snyderverse is dead. Get over it.
Yeah,
move on with your life.
Yep.
But two, it's like, for someone like me who's sitting back going, you really have no respect for your fans at this point, because you keep teasing all this stuff, and then you're like, well, Flashpoint could fix all this so we can be more cohesive, but then you do this. And it's like, just shut it all down. Just put out these movies, shut it down, and restart. Just do it. Stop trying to do the DC thing and change it along the way. Just stop.
Yeah. No, for real.
I get that some of the things worked for you, and people liked Aquaman for some reason, and people really like Shazam, and there's other things in there that were good, and I would have liked to see more Ben Affleck as Batman, but like, that all fell apart. We now need to move on, and if that means recasting Aquaman, recasting Shazam, and all this, like, that's what needs to happen, guys. So
Not recasting.
I thought this was really weird.
Yeah, I don't. And to me, like from a business standpoint, what would be the reasoning to have Ben Affleck in an after credit scene unless you're going to use him for more projects, right? Why would you? Why would you put? It's not going to be. It's not for the fans. I feel like they have to realize you're just going to confuse the fans. So if I read some like rumors and stuff online that like it's Batman like uh at the end of Flash, like Batman's calling for help because he messes up the timeline, and that'll be the next Flash movie. He has to help Batman, whatever. But like, what are you guys doing? Like, it's just, and we're gonna end up in another situation where we're not gonna have a live action Batman anymore. I mean, Michael Keaton's great, but he's old, right? So we already don't have a live action Superman. Henry Cavill keeps like coming in and out of the limelight.
Just to go back to Batman, we still have Pattinson that everybody's forgetting about.
Right, which they say is if they're going to bring him into the whole Justice League, who knows?
Well, which is why, like, whether that movie was good or not, and whether you enjoyed it or not, I still think that movie was a mistake. Because if your plan was to do this cohesive universe,
right?
Why did you do a Pattinson Batman movie?
Right, yeah, makes no sense.
But go on you're at Superman.
Yeah, so like Superman, we haven't had any news about a Superman since the Justice League came out and Henry Cavill said he was done. And there still is no Superman. I mean, there's like, okay, little rumors here and there about like J.J. Abrams and some bullshit. You know, we're going to get Sunshine Superman with like Michael B. Jordan or some shit. None of that's come to fruition. You know, Wonder Woman's still around. The Flash is going to be recasted already. It's like, what are we doing here? Yeah. It's really sad for me to be a DC fan. I mean, the things I'm enjoying, though, like Shazam, love that movie. I love the Robert Pattinson movie. We can have these things be standalone for a while. We don't have to cross over anything. Like, you don't have to cross things over like Marvel's doing DC. Like, you could still do your own things. And like work your way up to it if you wanted, but man, like, can we just chill with all this shit?
So I agree with you, but they want to have it both ways, and you can't have it both ways. You either have a universe or you don't.
You got to earn it.
And the only thing I have against the standalone thing is I was talking to a friend who we were talking about like that one movie going experience that we could never have again, and he kept bringing up Endgame, like there will never be an Endgame again. We'll never have that again. And I kept telling him, I said, "There's one way it happens again, and that's if DC gets their shit together."
Yeah,
because DC can give us that moment again,
right?
But will they? I don't know. I sure hope so, because there's a DC equivalent to that would be amazing. Yeah, and I want it to exist for you, for me, for everybody out there. But we'll see.
Yep. I mean, Suicide Squad is great too, right? I love that. Peacemaker, we got some good shit there. So
yeah, there's good shit out there. Don't be wrong; it's not all garbage,
right?
But there's no cohesiveness.
But even Suicide Squad is a reboot. You know, like that's already a reboot. So.
Yeah, and I was thinking about you the other day when I was like pondering on the most recent MCU stuff, and like the TV shows have been good, but like the last two big movies, Thor and Eternals, are both like not good.
Yeah, right.
And you came in my head being like, these were DC movies, and then I started thinking, but they get away with it because they're MCU movies,
right? Because they've done so many things.
A few, yeah.
Right. Yeah, you could start like reeling back and doing some wonkier shit.
Yeah, now listen, what's the next movie? Is it Black Panther?
Yeah.
If Black Panther's bad, like I'm gonna start worrying. But
right.
But yeah, it's just.
But like,
I want that for DC.
Thor: Dark World sucked. But like, oh, I'm sorry, the 2 out of 4 Thor movies we have sucked. You know, like. We have 4 Thor movies, like.
Well, when you're,
like I don't get it.
When you're invested in the world and the universe,
right?
The fact that one movie's bad isn't a big deal,
right? Right.
Now the argument can be made, like, well, there've been all these that are bad. Like, I get it, but like we're all invested in the universe, so we're willing for one or two to be bad along the way.
Right.
And DC doesn't have that benefit. Where like when the Batman v Superman movie was bad, I was mad because it's the only Batman v Superman movie I'll ever get.
Yeah, exactly. We knew it wasn't coming back. Yeah. And the casting, you'll never get that casting again, which I think was phenomenal. But all right. Speaking of gods among men, Kevin Feige once again proves why he's the powerhouse of the comic book movie industry. During an interview this week, he stated the new Fantastic Four movie will not be an origin story, and Chris got really happy. A lot of people know the origin. A lot of people know the basics. How do we take that and bring something that they've never seen before? Yeah, so, I mean, there isn't much of an origin there if you're not talking about the Ultimate Universe, right? The Ultimate Universe origin is way cooler than the 616. 616, they just get sunburned, and then they come back, and they're like, okay. It's
Ultimates, they get sunburned in the negative zone.
And Ultimates get sunburned in the negative zone. See, I know my Marvel science. Well, I do Fantastic Four is my one Marvel team up that I do love. And that makes sense. I mean, people, and this is something like they understand. Okay, the fan base. We haven't had Fantastic Four for a while. We've had about a couple different installments of Fantastic Four. Don't need to do an origin story again, like with Batman v Superman. Oh, Superman's going to fight Batman. We got to give him an origin again and make this a 3.5 hour long movie. No, you don't need to do that.
Well, he hit something that I've been saying for years in that quote. How do we take that and bring something that we've never seen before? People know the origin. And I've heard the argument, well, not everybody knows it. I don't give a fuck anymore. Enough people know it that we don't need to rehash it. And if you're one of the two people out there that doesn't know the origin to Batman, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, like iconic superheroes that have had movies for decades, Google it. That's all I got to tell you at this point. So I'm really happy about this news because this means we can get an actual Fantastic Four movie and not Fantastic Four figuring out what their powers are and me having to watch Reed Richards cry about making the thing for 2 hours.
Yeah, I agree. So after all the lovely movie talk, let's jump to this interview with Mr. Charlie Stickney. Gonna chat with him about some cool stuff. His books in Vault Comics,
Scout Comics.
Scout Comics, and we'll see everybody on the other side.
And we're back.
We're on the other side. So yeah, check him out. I know. I think he just wrapped up his book Clarion. So look forward to all the other stuff he's doing. And all the great stuff that Scout's doing. I mean, Chris and I are huge fans of Scout lately. Can't say enough good things about them. Barbaric coming back, a lot of their books are pretty sick. So
yeah, they got a good lineup of books, all that. So
let's talk about what I read this week. We have a little bit of comic news. There's a little bit of comic news. A lot of what I read this week. It marks the 30th anniversary of Death of Superman. Of course, we needed a new one-shot special to celebrate the Death of Superman 30th anniversary special. Number 1 will hit Comic Shocks November 8th and feature stories from Jan Jurgens, Brett Breeding, Roger Stern, Butch Geese, Louise Simonson, John Bogdanov, Jerry Ordway, Tom Grumet. It's also going to feature a new DC villain called Doombreaker. This feels like a money grab, especially to shoehorn a new villain into it. So I'll probably read it though, as much as I him and ha.
I will not, but
I'm not a huge fan of Death of Superman. To begin with, so this doesn't really get me excited. And the other thing here, there's no new talent writing these stories, right? So
no, it's the talent that was around at the time.
Yeah. So you don't have like Philip Kennedy Johnson writing a story. You don't have like Tom King doing a Superman story. Like this, if this is gonna be 30th anniversary, okay, we can have the original guys, but we need some fresh talent in there. Like give Stephanie Phillips a story. Like, come on, you know what I mean?
Make one of the stories written by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Tom Taylor,
right?
And have it tie into what they're doing in current stuff.
Yeah,
why not? I really want people now to care. This is the people who were there at the time. Like, hey, remember Death of Superman? Here it is again, like, no. Everybody.
Yeah.
And listen, I'll give them credit where Death of Superman is the only Death of book that I care about in terms of like its importance, but it's still not a great book. I'm sorry, DC fanboys, it's not.
And it just wasted a lot of plastic.
And yeah, and that new villain, Doombreaker.
Yeah,
that's like got to be one of the cringiest things I've heard in a long time.
To me, it's a Dota hero because there's a Dota hero, Dawnbreaker, and it's like, I don't know what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's people out there that are super excited. I wish I read about this earlier. I could have asked Dan Jurgens himself about it, but
yeah,
he was at the con.
Oh, did you chat with him?
I did for a minute. I just said hi and moved because him, Garth, CB Sebestia, a few others had like really long lines. So like, go by and like flash my press pass, be like, "Hey, how's it going, man? Just want to say hi." Blah blah. Move on.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh yeah.
I'll say less DC, less of this, more of the Jurassic League shit. All right, you got a good thing going with that and all those other fun books, so you don't need to bring us down to this other crap. Okay, what did I read this week? I picked up Nocterra. I had to make sure it was spelled right. Yeah, Terra. This is the Scott Snyder, Tony S. Daniel trade number 1. This is through Image. This is 6 issues I picked up for $10 because Image first trades are $10. Everybody,
it's a good series.
It is, and you can tell. No, this is not a dig at Scott Snyder, but he was still riding the wave of Dark Knight's Metal, and then he wrote, another book about it. It's a story about darkness versus light. It doesn't deal with superheroes; it deals with normal people, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a little bit of horror aspect. I think the reveal at the end of finally seeing like the, it was almost like a horror movie. Like they keep talking about the monsters, but you never really see it until the end. Jaws, I guess, would be the biggest example there. But I think they set up something interesting. There's some cool characters, some creepy looking characters, and obviously Tony S. Daniel's art. I've loved him since I got back into comics. So I mean that guy, his art's amazing. So it was cool to see them team up on a book together. And some of the, I mean, Scott can get a little wordy with some of his stuff, and I think the biggest takeaway from like this book versus like a Dark Knight's Metal, there's a lot of comic book science in this book and a lot of comic book science in Dark Knight's Metal, and it's almost like you could take it a little easier in a DC book versus this, where it's like, we were reaching for the light and we found the dark, and now but either way, it was still a good book. If you're a fan of Scott Snyder, if you're a fan of Tony S. Daniel's art, obviously this is like, he's drawing creatures, he's drawing characters, and it's almost like, it reminded me of like Mad Max, right? So the character is like a truck driver. So like it's kind of like Fury Road mixed with Pitch Black or something. Remember that the Vin Diesel movie? So I think that was a pretty good combo I just came up with off the cusp there. So
yeah, I really enjoy that series.
Yeah, it was cool, and I think it's he left it up for more issues, right? So I don't know if they're out yet, but definitely check it out. So some books I had to catch up on before I talk about the other stuff. DC Vampires, All Out War. That was a good issue. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, number 1. This is just a continuation of Shang-Chi. They just had to change the name. Jurassic League number 3. This book is one of my favorites. Basically, the giant monster cracks out of the egg, and we don't know what it is yet, so it's going to be interesting to find out. I still have not read the new Godzilla versus Power Rangers number 4. Shaolin Cowboy, this is number 3, Cruel to Be Kin. This book's a lot of fun. More fight scenes with the weird guy who's manipulating chi. It's just more crazy fight scenes with this character. And come to find out, the giant jellyfish that he was riding is actually sentient and like kills the guy that was riding him and is kind of like, now what do I do with you? This book is absolutely so much fun. So Kung Fu Western, the art speaks for itself. Check it out. Superman Space Age. This is Mark Russell and Mike Allred. This is a great first issue, and I wish they would have told you it deals with more than just Superman. So we get a glimpse at Lex Luthor, Batman. We get a Justice League started by the end of the first issue. I think this is a great first issue because you got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, where they are in this universe. This takes place during the space race in the 1960s. And there's some cool things happening here. Like Clark Kent is as an up-and-coming journalist, so they give him all the crazy people to interview, like for the newspaper columns, and he ends up in a bar interviewing Pariah. And Pariah says, like, the world's going to be ending because I found the Anti-Monitor, and everybody's like, yeah, sure, dude, you're just going into the funny papers, like, nobody believes this guy. And, like, Superman actually believes him. He's like, the world's going to end in 20 years. And then you have Lex Luthor bidding for a defense contract over Bruce Wayne for the U.S. and Lex Luthor wins, and then he starts doing crazy shit where he like blows up cities and makes like he basically wants them to destroy Russia. Like he's trying to force U.S.'s hand to destroy Russia. Batman's idea for the defense contract was to give everybody bat armor in the army, so you can see where that's going. He gets denied the contract, and he becomes Batman. So Batman stops Lex Luthor after he blows up the city to try to get the U.S. to fight with Russia. So Lex Luthor gets locked away, and then they start a Justice League because of that with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern. Solid first issue. I'm interested to see where it goes. Mark Russell completely understands the characters individually and as a team. We'll see that hopefully in the next issue. And Mike Allred's art is always fantastic. So. DC Mech number 1, Kenny Porter, Baldomero Rivas on the art. Great art. I'm a little disappointed, and that's for a good thing, that they really just hid the lead here and started this book off with the JSA. So, and I even tweeted about it. I'm like, guys, like if I knew this was going to start with the JSA, I would have gotten this book a lot sooner than I did, which is funny because I bought it when it came out. But they started the JSA
even harder than I already did.
Yeah, exactly. So we're dealing with parademons. The only difference here is they're kaiju parademons. They're giant parademons. One shows up, he pretty much wrecks the JSA, and the JSA vow to like, okay, they're like, we need to commit instead of just beating things up. We need to commit ourselves to research and moving like society forward with technology. So now all the heroes and the villains have mech suits. And so Superman's sent to Earth after Krypton is lost to Darkseid and New Genesis are fighting with like mech suits. Like all the new gods have mech suits. All the heroes and villains have mech suits. There's a lot of fighting going on. And that's pretty much where it is. Like we start off with like Flash in a suit fighting the rogues with all their suits. And the funny part to me is like Captain Cold has a mech suit, and inside the mech suit, Captain Cold is wearing his like costume. Which I think is the funniest shit. Yeah, he's still got a parka and the goggles on. It's a fun book. I highly recommend it. Batman Fortress number 3, Gary Whitta, Derek Robertson. What's up, Derek?
Actually, great art by Derek. This one too.
Oh, you did? Okay. So this is the issue where Batman and Lex Luthor decide to break into the Fortress of Comic News. Just kidding, Fortress of Solitude. I wish we could get like Batman Fortress of Comic News on a cover of the issue somewhere, because like never has a book pertained to this podcast between who we've interviewed and our name of the podcast. So they want to get a weapon inside the Fortress of Solitude to stop the aliens, and they still can't find Superman, and Barry White gets vaporized, sticking up for Clark Kent. So I think it's a pretty solid issue.
Perry White walking out of his office with a shotgun, like a fucking old redneck, was my
awesome.
favorite part of the whole issue.
And still sticking up for Clark Kent, you know what I mean? Like, you always think he's a piece of shit, and then he's like, no, he's like, I can only be a piece of shit to Clark Kent, like, not you aliens, and then he just gets vaporized. So,
and I love the sequence of him, of Bruce in Oa, like, basically telling the Owens, like, that they're shitty people for not helping.
Oh, yeah. He's like, you're just bureaucrats, you don't actually get involved. But then they're like, hey, we've saved the world a few times, and he's like, okay, you're right. Like, but now I need you to help again. Florida Man #1. This book came out last week. I don't know if you caught wind of this one. It was interesting. It's published by American Mythology Productions. Mike Barron, Todd Mulrooney on the art.
Do you want to know our connection to Florida Man #1?
What's that?
So, one of the fine gentlemen that works over at Comic Book Yeti as a reviewer is the writer of Florida Man #1.
Oh, interesting. Well, there you go. Yes. So, crazy Florida stuff happening. It was ridiculous. It's about what you think a Florida Man book would be. Yeah, all I can say is read it. If you're interested in the Florida Man shit, it's pretty much that in a comic, and there's like an overarching plot, but it's wild. Wrong Earth, Meat. Tom Pear, Greg Scott. This, I love Tom Pear on Wrong Earth. So this is like the classic flavor of Wrong Earth. Old school villain, shitty villain, stealing meat. He's stealing like Wagyu beef. That's his big call to fame. And
that's big money right there.
Yeah, oh for sure. And it's a great Dragonfly Stinger story on both Earths. Just about the relationship between, like the Batman and Robin, and a different twist on each Earth of it. I thought it was a great issue. Tom Pear just, he's a great guy, funny guy, and I love Wrong Earth. Radiant Black 16, Kyle Higgins and Clark on the art. This is where Radiant Black gets ambushed by like all 5 villains teaming up and almost kill him, and then another Radiant Black comes to save him at the last minute, and I'm guessing it's Nathan. So I don't know if we have 2 Radiant Blacks or if Radiant Black got transferred to Nathan while this was happening. I guess we'll find out. Still a solid story. I actually stopped reading Radiant Red because it was just it wasn't really holding its own in this whole universe of stuff, so I had to drop that one. Rogue Sun #6. This is Ryan Perot and Abel on the art. The last issue we found out the Rogue Sun's mother was trying to kill him. Ryan's mom is a villain trying to kill him. There's a lot of back and forth between the mom and dad being like, I'm the good one, I'm the good one. The mom gets beat and locked away in one of those crystals where they like keep all the villains and the demons. The son tells the dad to go away, like, because he said, if I find your killer, you'll leave me alone. But he still seems kind of lonely and like looking for him at the end of the issue. And the stepmom invites him to come live with them and like be part of the family. So that was a kind of nice ending. I don't know where they're going to go from there. And then I finished Nightwing Volume 1, Leaping into the Light. Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo on the art. Fantastic Volume 1. I heard so many good things about this Tom Taylor Nightwing run, and I will say it is worth the hype. I think it's a great story arc about Nightwing inheriting money from Alfred after Alfred's death and wanting to change the city for good. The villains are really cool. Blockbuster and the Heartless guy, like stealing people's hearts. I think it's a great series. So, and that's all I had this week. I know, just a few comics, but
I got one more.
Oh, okay.
I also read Ant-Man #1.
Nice.
So this one takes place back in like the Tales of Astonish age of Ant-Man. So it's the original Ant-Man, and it's like told in that style too, which was a little weird, but it works. So there's something going on along the time stream where a future Ant-Man is trying to collect all the different iterations of Ant-Man for an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And we get this. The part of the story that you would enjoy was a bunch of Ant-Man's villains come together to try to take him out in the 60s. And it was the Ant Agonists.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it was just like four like really shitty villains. Like one had window cleaner that paralyzed you.
Oh my god.
One played a trumpet that like seduced you, and like it was shit like that. And then so Ant-Man gets captured. He thinks he's gonna die. Wasp saves him. Blah blah blah. But then we find out at the end of the issue that the Ant-Man of the future is trying to test them to bring them to the future for something that he's doing. We're not quite sure, but it was a decent issue. It's only 4-issue series, so I'll probably check it out further. But yeah,
awesome.
So Mike, that was everything I had this week. Where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Fortress Ricker on Twitter. Where can they find you and/or the show?
You can find me at Fortress Chris on Twitter and the show at Fortress Comics _ on Twitter. Also, FortressComicNews.com. Remember, everybody, to give us reviews on the podcatcher of your choice, to like, subscribe, share, comment down below in the YouTube version of the show. And if you want to go the extra mile, patreon.com/FortressComics. I want to thank you all so much for listening this week, and we will see you all here next week.